Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Наши программы предлагают много языков. Пожалуйста, посмотрите suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Provide for yourself moments of inward calm, and in these moments, learn to distinguish between the real and the unreal. Our aim in moments of retirement must be to contemplate and judge our own experiences and actions as though it were not ourselves but some other person to whom they applied. Please watch on for the engaging spiritual wisdom of Dr. Rudolf Steiner.
Book peace-loving viewers. Book is hello in Croatian. I'm Agata. The generous people of Croatia send you the wishes for blissful fulfillment of the heart and soul in God's embrace. Born in 1861, Dr. Rudolf Steiner was a great Austrian polymath, philosopher, and scientist who made influential contributions in the fields of education, science, spirituality, and medicine. He is perhaps best known for pioneering the holistic educational methods for the Waldorf schools. An eloquent public speaker and gifted writer, he gave over 6,000 lectures in his lifetime and gained recognition as a literary critic. His writings cover a wide range of subjects, and he published more than 25 books, including Mysticism at the Dawn of the Modern Age, The Way of Initiation, and Intuitive Thinking as a Spiritual Path, The Philosophy of Freedom. He developed and taught an esoteric spiritual philosophy called anthroposophy, based on the science of the spirit. Today, we will explore selected parts from Dr. Rudolf Steiner's book, The Way of Initiation. The author reveals how by balancing our inner and outer life, one can continue a safer and more promising path in attaining higher knowledge. Further in the chapter, The Path of Discipleship, the importance of taking enough time in tranquility to contemplate on the essence of life's experiences is emphasized. How to attain knowledge of the higher worlds. One must have learned to control one's own feelings and ideas if one wishes to develop any intimate relationship with the outer world. Every phenomenon in that outer world is full of divine splendor, but one must have felt the divine within oneself before one may hope to discover it without. The disciple is told to set apart certain moments of his daily life, during which to withdraw into himself, quietly and alone. At such times, he ought not to occupy himself with his own personal affairs, for this will bring about the contrary of that at which he is aiming. During these moments, he ought rather to listen in complete silence to the echoes of what he has experienced, of what the outward world has told him. Then, in these periods of quiet, every flower, every animal, every action will unveil to him secrets undreamed of, and thus will he prepare himself to receive new impressions of the external world as if he viewed it with different eyes. For he who merely desires to enjoy impression after impression only stultifies the perceptive faculty, while he who lets the enjoyment afterwards reveal something to him, thus enlarges and educates it. He must be careful not merely to let the enjoyment reverberate as it were, but renouncing any further emotions of joy, begin to work upon his pleasurable experiences with an inward activity. The danger at this point is very great. Instead of working within oneself, it is easy to fall into the opposite habit of afterward trying to completely exhaust the enjoyment. Let us not undervalue the unforeseen sources of error which here confront the disciple. He must, of necessity, pass through a host of temptations, each of which tends only to harden his ego and to imprison it within itself. If he blunts himself to enjoyment, he becomes as a plant which cannot longer draw nourishment from its environment. However much he may live within himself, however intensely he may cultivate his ego, the world will exclude him. He is dead to the world. The disciple considers enjoyment only as a means of ennobling himself for the world. Pleasure to him is as a scout who informs him concerning the world, and after having been taught by pleasure, he passes on to work. He does not learn in order that he may accumulate wisdom as his own treasure, but in order that he may put his learning at the service of the world. In all forms of occultism, there is a fundamental principle which must not be transgressed, if any goal at all is to be reached. All occult teachers must impress upon their pupils that every branch of knowledge which you seek only to enrich your own learning, only to accumulate treasure for yourself, leads you away from the path. But all knowledge which you seek for working in the service of humanity and for the uplifting of the world brings you a step forward. This law must be rigidly observed, nor is one a genuine disciple until he has adopted it as the guide for his whole life. In many occult schools, this truth is expressed in the following short sentence: every idea which does not become an ideal for you slays a power within your soul. Every idea which becomes an ideal creates within you a vital force. The Path of Discipleship. At the very beginning of his course, the student is directed to the path of reverence and the development of the inner life. The occult teaching also gives practical instructions by the observance of which he may learn to follow that path and develop that inner life. These practical directions have no arbitrary basis. They rest on ancient experience and ancient wisdom, and wheresoever the ways to higher knowledge are marked out, they are of the same nature. All genuine teachers of occultism agree as to the essential character of these rules, although they do not always express them in the same words. This difference of expression is of a minor character, more seeming than real, and is due to circumstances which need not be mentioned here. No teacher wishes, by means of such rules, to establish an ascendancy over other persons. He would not tamper with individual independence. Indeed, no one respects and cherishes human individuality more than the teachers of occultism. Whenever the initiate leaves this enclosure, the order which embraces all initiates, and steps forth into the world, he must submit to an inviolable law. It is this: keep watch over each of your actions and each of your words, in order that you may not hinder the free will of any human being. Those who recognize that genuine occult teachers are thoroughly permeated with this principle will understand that they can add to their independence by the practical directions which they are advised to follow. One of the first of these rules may be thus expressed in our language: provide for yourself moments of inward calm, and in these moments, learn to distinguish between the real and the unreal. I say advisedly, expressed in our language, because originally all rules and teachings of occult science were expressed in a symbolical sign language. The path is open to all who earnestly will to enter it. Simple in truth and easy to follow is the rule concerning moments of inner calm, but it leads to the goal only when the pursuit is as earnest and strict as the way is simple. The student must mark off a small part of his daily life in which to occupy himself with something quite different from the avocations of his ordinary life, and the way in which he occupies himself at such a time must also differ from the way in which he performs the rest of his duties. But this does not mean that what he does in the time thus set apart has no connection with his daily work. On the contrary, the man who seeks such moments in the right way will soon find that it is just this which gives him full power to do his daily task. Nor must it be supposed that the observance of this rule really deprives anyone of time needed for the performance of his duties. If any person really has no more time at his disposal, 5 minutes a day will suffice. The real point is the manner in which these 5 minutes are spent. At these periods, a man should raise himself completely above his work-a-day life. His thoughts and feelings must take on a different coloring. His joys and sorrows, his cares, experiences, and actions must pass in review before his soul, and he must cultivate a frame of mind which enables him to regard all his other experiences from a higher point of view. We need only bear in mind how different is the point of view from which in ordinary life we regard the experiences and actions of another, and that from which we judge our own. This is inevitable, for we are interwoven with our own actions and experiences while we only contemplate those of another. Our aim in moments of retirement must be to contemplate and judge our own experiences and actions as though it were not ourselves, but some other person to whom they applied. Mindful viewers, we appreciate your serene company for today's Words of Wisdom. Please tune in again tomorrow for the second part of The Path of Discipleship by Dr. Rudolf Steiner, vegetarian. Coming up next is The Astounding Falls of the Iguazu River, right after Noteworthy News. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television for more constructive programming. May the path to truth, wisdom, and love be always open for you.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.